What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Endgame. If you're a new viewer, then welcome. We're here to draft. It's mock draft time. We've got a couple weeks left to do that because thankfully the season is approaching, but we still have some preseason games and training camp hype and rumors and buzz and ridiculous practice highlights to filter through before we get to the actual season. So, mock draft, I hate to tell you, it's full again already. Used to be, there was a time, Chris, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when we would go on live and we would have to wait for people to join the mock draft. And
Yes.
that just doesn't happen anymore. We got it filled up. Why? How? Because they're in the flock. People who have joined us have a subscription to flockfantasy.com/endgame. So if you go on there and join, you get access to the mock draft channel where you get the link hours before we go live, and you can pick your spot, join us, and be one of the ones drafting live online with us. Other thing you can do is actually join a real redraft league with us. Limited time only, not too much longer. We're going to have spots open because it's almost draft season for real. So if you are interested in that, you can check it out also on flockfantasy.com/endgame, and rankings and bonus videos, articles, and so much more. So all of that and even more. Check it out. But it's draft time, so what is up? Got our usual suspects here. Let's see. Number one is Mike. Mike taking the one
Yes, but
spot.
hold on. We have a developing situation. The
Uh-oh.
player that was at Team 9 had to back out at the last minute here. So we actually have one spot. One
Oh,
spot.
look at that. Just opened up. Somebody with a very quick, itchy trigger finger gets to go in. So here we go. We need someone to take over Team 9 and snipe Chris. Who is it?
Yes.
It is the exact same person.
Is it?
Oh, no.
What?
Mine didn't refresh yet.
No, nobody has jumped in.
All right. Well, see, mine's showing. Well, mine hasn't refreshed yet. Mike
Let me
said
see.
he's going bold.
Okay, there we go. We got JCR Melts. All right.
All right. Well, let's see. How bold can you get with a 1.1? Look, if it's Tyler Lockett, then I don't know. We're gonna have to have some words.
Yeah, that's a little too bold. All right. Okay. It's definitely bold.
Tyreek Hill. I mean, look, he's usually top 3 or 4, but we don't see him go number 1 overall. What do you think about that?
I mean, it wouldn't be my choice. But look, last year, Mike took Derrick Henry number 1. He hadn't played fantasy in years, came back, took Derrick Henry number 1 over Jonathan Taylor. Everybody said, you're crazy. And it worked out pretty well. So maybe we should all start taking Tyreek Hill at the number 1.
I mean, if you're going to take a player that's not Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or a running back, then I guess that would be the player. So, yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Look, Tyreek Hill, perfectly solid pick there.
Yeah, definitely a solid pick. Nothing wrong with it.
All right. So far, everything else, business as usual. Okay, we got Diggs.
All right. I guess a kind of snipe. So this is a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. Do I do it? Do I do it?
I don't know what you're going to do, but whatever it is, I say yes, do it. Oh, okay. I didn't see that coming. I don't hate it either, though.
Yeah, I figure, man, I definitely thought about, well, wait a little bit until some people pick. Yeah, there's some good choices here.
I'm trying to think what paper says he's going to snipe me at the 12. Or he probably will. What does he usually do? I think
I
I
mean, I'm
feel
sure
like
he'll
I
take.
know.
I'm sure he'll take at least one guy you want.
Yeah, let's see. Put the ball in his court. All right, so he went running back. That's why I was debating. Like, do I go Eckler or do I
Yeah.
just go receiver here?
That's what I was debating too. Do I go Eckler? But then I knew if I went Eckler, you guys would probably take 4 wide receivers.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, who's my wide receiver one going to be? It's going to be like maybe Jalen Waddle, somebody like that, which isn't bad. It's not terrible, but
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you right now, whoever he takes, which AJ Brown, okay, that's kind of what I figured. I was going to go receiver anyways because, yeah, if it's not one of those 3 running backs in the first round, I'm not taking. And right now, I don't think I'm going running back either. You know what? Let's just go all breakout season here. Second year wide receivers every round.
now
Every
this is
round, I
actually
will take a second year wideout.
Let's go full 0 RB.
Committing early. I like it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So only 2 receivers, not 3, but 2 flex. So it could go either way. But of course, full PPR. I'm going to lean receiver more often than not. Of course, it always depends. Like, what's everyone else doing? It's too early to say, but we know this is an end game draft. So
Yeah.
you can already see there's not a lot of green on the screen.
Yes. That's the other thing you got to think about. Like, okay, who am I drafting against? And actually, that's not even like a joke. It's like you got to think about it that way. Now, obviously, if you're in a new league, you don't know the people, you can't think about that. But if you're in like your home league for the 10th year in a row and you know everybody and you know how they draft, you got to think about that when you're on the clock. It's like, well, this guy might be a value, but I know if I don't, take this other position, when it comes back to me, they're going to be gone because that's just what my league does. So you kind of actually do have to know your league.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't predict for sure what everyone else is going to do, but if you know who you're drafting with and against, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some people on here right now who I feel a pretty good idea who or what type of player they're going to draft or what strategy. Some of these guys likes to mix it up a little bit, like change things, but I think I feel fairly confident that team 3 is going to go with a 49er receiver in round 4. I feel pretty confident.
Yes. Assuming that 49er receiver is still there, yes.
Right. And appreciate from John
What's up,
the God
John?
content. That's what we've been going for. I
Yes.
meant good, but cheers. We appreciate you. We
Man,
appreciate
okay,
you.
so I will say, because now he's been picked, I did somewhat consider Calvin Ridley where I took Jalen Waddle because I'm like, I don't think Calvin Ridley is going to make it back to me anymore. You can't get 3rd round Calvin Ridley anymore. You can't even get into 2nd round Calvin Ridley anymore. So, man.
I mean, no, you're not going to get Calvin Ridley at the end of the 3rd round, and not in this draft, but Calvin Ridley 2.3. Are we there?
Well, that's the thing. Like, obviously we're not because I went with Jalen Waddle, but I knew I was like, if I don't take Ridley here, I'm not gonna get Ridley. So I don't know.
Get your guy. I mean, if you think Ridley's going to outproduce Waddle, of course you do it, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. What ADP says, doesn't matter what your league mates say.
I remember for most of the offseason, we get Ridley in like round 4, round 5.
Yeah,
Now
those days are over. Those days are definitely over. And now we're seeing the running backs, a slew of running backs.
Yeah, that's how these drafts go. You get a ton of wide receivers, and then all the running backs get picked. Which I did consider Barkley over Waddle as well.
But now I think, pretty much Maybe one more guy, maybe two. I don't even know. Maybe one more guy, and then it's like the new running back dead zone, where it's guys who you feel like should be studs, but I'm not completely sold for one reason or another. Or I just think I'd rather have a wide receiver than those guys and stake my team's fortunes on them, and so I'll just wait. So, I mean, I'm not gonna declare right now before I'm even close to my pick, but I have a pretty good feeling I'm gonna just go 0 RB in this draft right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much. I mean, unless somebody crazy falls, which I don't even know who it would be at this point, I'm probably just going to go 0 RB because I don't feel like the running backs here. And actually, the video that comes out tomorrow, I talk about that. Like, just don't love any of the running backs here.
All right, we get to George's comments. George, giving a shout out. I should have put this up first.
Yep, I remember.
Appreciate that. Do you remember that? Do you remember your team? Well, that's what we're here for. Hopefully, help you all out. We got a question here, so thank you for the super chat. Definitely appreciate that. A 14-team league, which is a little different. I mean, you have to approach it differently, right? The draft is obviously more important. Waivers are going to be thinner, and then you really have to think about those tiers as far as positions. You don't want to be necessarily the last person to take a quarterback, depending on how everyone else drafts. But here we go. 2 running back, 3 receiver, tight end flex, half PPR, draft tips, wide receiver first 3 rounds. Maybe.
I wouldn't lock myself into that going into the draft. Obviously, it's going to depend on where you pick and who's available. But it's half PPR, so I think it's okay. Like if you don't go as wide receiver heavy in half PPR. And it's two running back, 3 wide receiver, and a flex. So, I mean, in that format, I do tend to favor wide receiver a little more, but I'm also okay with, a hero RB, anchor RB strategy, maybe even a double hero RB strategy. If, 2 really good, you get 2 just stud running backs, but generally in this format, I'm probably going to go hero RB. The problem with like a 14-team league, if you go full 0 RB, the waivers are going to be a little more thin. It's not going to be as easy to get those guys like, Dobbins, Sanders, Pierce, Akers, Rashad White, like those guys that are kind of like those, I guess, high-end RB2s that can, be fine in the 0 RB build. It's going to be harder to get those guys. So I'd probably more favor a hero RB build in this because it's going to be tough in a 14-team league if you don't have a running back.
Yeah, it's not that you can't go 0 RB. It's just it's hard to pull off, like you said, and then it's you're just going to have to execute it really well, right? Because you have to get the right running backs, which is the trick always, but it's just a little hard to pull off. And then I'm just going to repeat, I don't want to be the last team to get a quarterback. I mean, I don't want to have to start Daniel Jones or Jared Goff or someone like that.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks it just falls off more. And again, maybe somebody is willing to take a chance on Anthony Richardson, their starting quarterback. I don't think I would do that. If you land a Kirk Cousins, but in a 14-team league, he might be gone too. So then you're really relying on a guy like maybe Geno Smith might be the best option left for you. So I would really rather have at least one of the top 10 quarterbacks. I would say that you don't have to go early quarterback. And in fact, I won't go early. I already said I'm not drafting a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, period. I think it's a little too soon and unnecessary. Because if everyone's taking quarterbacks in round 3, okay, we'll let them. Then you have better receivers left for you. But I don't want to wait too long either. So I would just say that. And then as far as everything else, just kind of read the room and see how it goes. It's half PPR. So that also makes it a little more important to at least have one anchor RB.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hopefully that helps. What's up? Rise is in the house. Not drafting though. Did he get in? No, he didn't get in.
No, but he was one of the early in the offseason when we were doing these. He was in like almost every draft. So what's up, buddy? Good to see you.
All right, these guys are gone. I think. It's that NMB also with us. So Cooper, DJ Moore went back to back here in the 3rd round. we still, I mean, we're high on both those guys. So who you have
we're
right
very
now
high.
ahead in your rankings?
Very high on both of them. I still think I'm going to go Cooper a little bit higher just because I feel like the Browns will pass more than the Bears, even though I do think the Bears will. I mean, the Bears will obviously pass more than they did last year. They basically did not throw the football. So, but I think the Browns will pass more. And as much as I like Fields, Deshaun Watson's a better thrower of the football than Justin Fields. So I definitely like them both. I got Cooper just a little bit higher.
Same here. Like them both. Cooper first. Just the offense, like I said, offensive context, I think is the main thing. Here's a question since we're waiting probably a little while before we get back to our picks. Carcast 49ers talk. It's like a good like radio show or podcast or something. Rate my 10-team PPR league. So a 10-teamer got Tua at quarterback, JT and Stevenson, Cup, Sun God, Mark Andrew, Ravens D, and a kicker.
All right, well, I'm going to ignore the last two. I'm just going to say, look, I know Tua is your guy, and I like Tua this year. I really do. But I think in a 10-team league, you should have a better QB than Tua. Because, like, Tua typically doesn't even go inside the top 10 QBs. So did you just, like, I would not have waited however long you waited to take a QB. I'm assuming you waited till the very end and just grabbed Tua. And I'm sure, like, I know in, like, my home league, people will draft 2 QBs, or they'll draft their starting lineup and then they'll go offline and the computer will auto pick them a QB. But I would not, like, in a 10-team league, I would want a better QB than Tua. I just think you just got to be stacked in a 10-team league. And I think Tua will be great this year, but man, like, is he going to be up there like with, the top 5, top 8 type QBs? I don't know about that. So that's definitely one thing I see. But other than that, I think it's great. I mean, you got Stevenson and JT. Hopefully, JT does play. You got Cup and Sun God. That's fantastic. You got Andrews at tight end. It's just a QB for me. I would have liked a better QB in a 10-team league.
I'm just going to ignore all the slander you just put out there, but I'll just add this too. It is standard. I don't know if that makes a big difference. Look, you waited on QB obviously because you have 2 bell cow running backs, right? 2 guys who are high end running backs. You got Cup, one of the top receivers in the game. Sun God, he loses value in a non PPR league. That's my one concern. That team looks a little less impressive in a standard league. But then you also again look at the fact that got Mark Andrews, one of the top tight ends. So you had to sacrifice somewhere. I think that's a really good team for 10-team league. So
I mean, even Nate, who might be like the biggest Tua truther behind you, even says in a 10-team league with Tua, you're basically streaming QB.
That's it. There's a ban button somewhere on here. It's going to get broken out pretty soon. All right. Clarification here. We do have, I think, some new people on here. Just what does hero RB mean? It's the same. We use interchangeably. Oh, by the way, you're up, just so you know. Anchor RB, hero RB, it kind of means the same thing. It means like you're going with one stud running back in the first 2 rounds. Does it have to be 3 first 2-3 rounds? I mean, it's kind of debatable where that, but at least one stud running back in the first 3 rounds, and then you're waiting.
Yeah, I think in the first 3 rounds, but like for me, hero RB, like if you're taking, let's say like Miles Sanders in the 4th round here as your only RB, and even though I like Miles Sanders, I wouldn't consider that hero RB. Like hero RB is like you get a stud RB, and then you basically like punt the position until for a while. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't consider like if somebody's like, oh, I got like Kenneth Walker, who I think will be fine. Like I don't know, that's almost like modified zero RB. But yeah, and I think in the first 3 rounds, and you get a stud. Like a guy who is going to be the anchor of your team, hence why it's also called anchor RB. Like he's the anchor of your team. And then you grab a bunch of RB2s later.
All right. There you go. You are up. I guess I didn't follow through with my 0 RB build because I just got 2 running backs. But you know what? Trying to learn from my past mistakes and not wait too long on running back and have absolute trash at the position. So that's what I'm going for. I got 2 running backs I like there being near the ends. I like those guys. They're not going to make it back to me. So that's what I'm doing.
Debating if I want to do this. Do I want to grab him?
Paper saying I sniped with Mark Andrews. Yeah, I guess I did. He got Lamar Jackson. I got Andrews. That's the way it goes. All right, I see you.
As my first bench wide receiver, I'll gamble on the upside.
Yeah, you're not a like a pick and stand, but you're not a hater either. I mean, you're not saying he's worthless.
Yeah, and like a lot of these wide receivers here aren't guys that you know. They're a lot of risk reward type guys. So I thought about going with a risk reward running back there, but yeah. So Tristan, I would definitely Saquon, definitely a hero anchor RB, no doubt about it. I still think Ramondre will be. I'm not. Like maybe he doesn't have that top 5 ceiling that he might have had without Zeke if he could get to like, 10 to 15 touchdowns. But he's still going to catch a bunch of passes. He's still a good runner. He's going to get the bulk. I think he's going to get the bulk of the carries. So yeah, I would be okay with Ramondre in an anchor build. He'd kind of be like he'd be like one of the last guys that I'd consider like an anchor build.
I think if you rank him like the way they were drafted here and the way kind of these rankings are, I think that is the cutoff because I mean, you could consider Najee your one anchor. I don't know, most people would be super comfortable with that, Yeah, so I think that's kind of where the cutoff is.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of those first 8 running backs, Jacobs if he ever shows up.
Yeah, Jacobs if he decides to play, certainly anchor RB, hero RB.
Okay, thoughts on either Gibbs or Etienne in the 4th round?
I think Etienne is okay in the 4th round. I certainly think where he went tonight in the 5th round is more than okay. Like totally fine there. But I think he's okay in the 4th round too. He's a guy. I still think he's got enough talent. I think he can get 1,200 rushing yards. Maybe 10 touchdowns is like his ceiling. Probably can still catch like 30 to 40 passes. So I think he'll be okay. So in the 4th round, I like him. But between the two, I'd prefer Gibbs. I just think Gibbs has a way higher ceiling and way higher potential. And I'd rather draft a running back. Like if Gibbs goes out there and catches 100 passes, and is efficient as a pass catcher, which he probably will be. So let's say he catches 100 passes, has like 800 receiving yards, maybe gets you another like 600 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. You're talking about a 1,400 yard, 7 touchdown, 100 catch running back. That's fantastic. So I'm not saying he's going to do that, but I'm saying like that's the kind of potential he has. Etienne just doesn't have that potential. So I prefer Gibbs between the two.
Yeah, I'm a little bit higher on Gibbs too. I don't know, I feel like I was trying to like throw cold water on the Gibbs hype after he got drafted because everybody automatically, every time the Lions take a running back, everyone just wants to anoint them, like the next big thing, and it doesn't happen. But yeah, obviously he's going to have a chance to put up huge numbers just as a pass catcher, and that's what you want. And Etienne, I'm surprised because that was one of his strengths. Really, that's the thing that made him so exciting coming out of college. Before he got hurt, of course, but that he was such an all-around athlete and also a great receiver. They're just not using him enough in that way. And both these guys, I think, have the same limitations. Like you said, it's the goal line work where we might see RB2 come in and take their place. If Tank gets more touchdowns than Etienne, wouldn't shock me at all. If Monty gets more touchdowns than Gibbs, I mean, it would shock me if he didn't. So that's the only thing. But you don't want to ever bank on touchdowns necessarily as one of your projection stats. So I'm a little bit higher on Gibbs just because I know he'll get more targets, like you said.
Yep.
But I think fourth round is fair for both of them. But we're not seeing Gibbs fall to the fourth, even in our drafts, which don't go as running back heavy. I see Gibbs as third round pick for the most part.
Yeah, he mostly goes in the third round, but that's why I was saying, like, if you can get Gibbs in the fourth round, I would definitely do it.
Yep. Then I didn't notice this. That Dotson went early. Where did Dotson go?
Yeah, he went round 5. Wow. I mean, he's getting some hype. I still feel like that's probably a little too early for him. I do like him. I'm coming around on him. He was a guy early in the offseason I was trying to get in Dynasty everywhere I could. But now I'm starting to come around on him pretty big in redraft too, because we're hearing some good things about Sam Howell. Now, I know it's camp and you don't want to buy into the buzz too much, but at least we're not hearing stuff like we're hearing about Trey Lance. We're not hearing about him struggling, throwing a bunch of interceptions. But also, the thing that really was telling to me was they had their joint practices with the Ravens, and Marcus Peters of the Ravens said, direct quote, he looks really comfortable. So, when your opponent says that, that's kind of telling to me, like, okay, at least he doesn't, like, the moment doesn't seem like it's too big for him. He'll probably, will he make mistakes? Will he turn them? Of course, he's going to do that. He's a rookie QB, but I'm starting to buy into Dotson and even Terry McLaurin to a point, and this offense with Eric Bieniemy now, Sam Howell. I'm starting to buy into it a little bit, but I think Dotson in the fifth is a little too early, even for me.
Yeah, I think that might be some of the preseason highlights and things like that. I mean, look, Dotson's a really good receiver. There's no doubt about that. The only question is it's not him. It's the offense itself and the quarterback. I guess it should be a little telling that they already said from the end of last year, obviously with the last game of the season starting, that Howell was the guy, right? They didn't say, well, let's look at our options. Oh, let's draft a quarterback. Let's see what's on the free. Like, they were like, no, Howell's the guy. And he's the guy right now. So at least they felt comfortable that they had something. And that was even before they had Bieniemy on board. So there are definitely reasons to be optimistic there. They felt that they could work with him this year and the new offensive coordinator. He's got weapons, right? McLaurin, Dotson, got good pass catching running back, and Gibson out of the backfield, who might also play receiver. Curtis Samuel, I don't think he's dust, and he's just been hurt a lot, but got some good options. But yeah, that's a little early for Dotson, but I can get behind him as my wide receiver 3, which is preferred maybe 1 round later. Brian Robinson, hero RB, no. Bijan, yes. Bijan is the hero definitely RB that you need and deserve.
Yes. If I draft Bijan Robinson, I'm just probably not even going to draft another running back. What's the point? I basically have 2 running backs in one guy. So
exactly. Okay, let's
draft Bijan and then just don't draft another running back. Just take the 0 in your RB2 spot because Bijan will make up for it. It's fine.
Basically, yeah. I saw normally I might consider Burks here. What was the thing? Was that today? He got hurt, carried off, and he's going to miss several weeks.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just they said it's a mild sprain, I think, and he should only miss a few weeks. So that's good news.
Good news, but I think you got to only buy him at a lower price at this point, though, because knowing that he is probably out for the beginning of the season and, not serious, but of course, there's always a possibility it lingers. Something else crops up as a result.
I think the real worry for me is he's on the Tennessee Titans and they brought in DeAndre Hopkins. Like, what is the path now? You're on the clock, by the way. What is the path? Okay. what is the path now on this low volume offense. This is what happens when you wait. Like, what is the path now on this low volume passing offense if he's not the number one target? Like, it's going to be really hard. So that is more my worry.
Perfect segue to George's question. Are you worried about guys on low pass volume offenses? Like he's talking about DJ Moore and Drake London. I mean, Tennessee is kind of the extreme. But you just talked about Bijan and obviously Atlanta not still going to pass the ball a ton in Chicago. But still, I think it's a little different situation there.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell me you haven't watched any of our offseason content without telling me you haven't watched any of our offseason content. Because I feel like we've talked about these guys over and over and over. Yeah, I mean, it's still gonna be a low volume passing offenses, but they're gonna throw more. I mean, the Bears threw it 22 times per game. That's like, come on, that's like 1970s type of stuff. They're going to throw it much more. They didn't go out and trade for DJ Moore. They didn't trade the number one pick this year for DJ Moore so they could throw it 22 times a game. They're going to throw it more. They also beefed up that offensive line, which is going to help Fields. They're going to throw it more. Same with the Falcons. They're going to throw it more. They only threw it 24 times per game. Now, they may only throw it 30 times per game, but like the 49ers only threw it 31 times per game, and everybody's fine drafting Christian McCaffrey as the number one running back, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel as at least top 30 wide receivers, and George Kittle as a top 5 tight end, and they only threw the ball 31 times. But people have no problem with any of those guys. So I think people kind of like, put too much stock into like, oh, they won't throw enough for these guys. It's fine in these with guys like DJ Moore and Drake London because who are they competing with? Who's taking targets from them? Like, sure, Pitts will take some targets, but who else is taking? Yeah, Bijan will get some targets, but like he's a running back. He's not going to get like 10 targets a game. Who's taking targets from London? Who's taking targets from DJ Moore? Like, yeah.
That's why, yeah, you have to consider the whole picture. Yeah. I mean, you can blindly say, and this happens a lot. People are like, well, Kansas City Chiefs, they throw the ball a ton. They have the best quarterback in the game. So any receiver on the Chiefs must be valuable. That's not the way it works because, yes, they throw the ball a lot to a lot of different guys. And at wide receiver specifically, they don't have one guy anymore because Tyreek Hill's not there, but they don't have one guy who's going to be a standout based on target volume because that's not how that offense operates. And they just don't have that guy, and because they don't need it, like it doesn't matter who they trot out there. Yeah. Like they could pull Rudy out of retirement, and get him out there in a wheelchair, and he'll still score touchdowns because Pat Mahomes will find him open. So it doesn't matter. But at the same time, a low volume pass offense or just a not that great pass offense, if you have only one receiver who's far significantly better than everyone else, they just don't have a lot of target competition. They can still be good, maybe not elite. If the quarterback's no good, then it doesn't matter. But I think Desmond Ridder will be serviceable. He'll be fine, has a chance to take a step forward, right? He should be better than last year, and he didn't even really get a chance last year other than the very end of the year. And then Justin Fields, I mean, I'm not saying he has a chance to be the next Jalen Hurts. It's possible he takes a big step forward. We've heard he's getting better as a passer, but he doesn't have to be the best passer. He could still find DJ Moore because DJ Moore is such a good receiver. He'll make the best of the targets he does get. So yep. I guess the short answer is no, we're not worried.
Yeah, not worried.
Thoughts on Zamir White in Dynasty? Buy now while you can.
Yeah, but he said thoughts on him if Jacobs does play.
I'm still
obviously that'll hurt him, but he's still a great handcuff. And look, Jacobs got hit with the franchise tag. Do we really think? Let's say he comes back and plays under the franchise tag. I really doubt they're going to franchise tag him a second year in a row. Do we really think he's back with the Raiders in 2024? If they can't work out a deal this year, probably not. So you still have a potentially valuable running back there. So if Jacobs plays, I'd probably just hold Zamir White unless you get like a great offer, of course.
That's exactly the thing is even if Jacobs comes back, it's pretty obvious the Raiders aren't going to pay him what he wants long term, right? So even if he's like, okay, well, holding out didn't work, didn't do anything. I'm playing this year. I'll be, I won't be happy about it, but I'll do it. he's not going to stay around next year. So Zamir White will get a chance, I think, even if Jacobs does play, because he's been running with the ones in preseason. Sure, they might just wear Jacobs down because they know they can just use him, throw him out after this year, right? I mean, he's going to be gone in free agency anyways. Sure, why not, run him into the ground? But yeah, to me, then that just makes the price even cheaper. If Jacobs today reports and says, all right, fine, I'll play, then you go out and you make some offers for Zamir White because everyone will be like, oh, he's worthless now. Okay, we have a comment from the voice of reason himself.
Is it actually a voice of reason, or is this going to be a voice of, hyperbole?
You just took George Pickens, so he said Pickens to get him here, ready for the breakout. Chris is ready. He took George Pickens, true to his word, I guess. I don't know if that's not really a word, but you know what I mean.
Am I ready for the breakout? Sure. I mean, I'm pretty much indifferent to the breakout. If he breaks out, great. If he doesn't, oh well. Like, I'm pretty indifferent to the breakout, to be honest with you.
That's not how breakouts work. You can't be indifferent to a breakout. Like, either you love it or you hate it, right? You cannot.
I mean, there's certainly other breakouts I would like to see than George Pickens, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, I know you don't have a lot.
I wouldn't hate it if he broke out, but there's other guys I want to see. Like I'd much rather see Dotson break out than Pickens. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. But now this is definitely the voice of reason. Give a like.
Yes.
We'd love you back.
That is definitely the voice of reason.
All right.
Don't do it.
Thank you, Nate, by the way, for leaving Dak for me. You know what I'm going to do here. Get my boy.
Okay. See, I knew it's funny because I was going to say something. I'm looking at your team. I'm like, he only has 4 wide receivers in a 2 wide receiver, 2 flex league. There's no way he could take a chain here, right?
Oh, yes. Because I'm not doing what I've been doing, is waiting too long and getting a bunch of leftovers, at backup running back.
All right. Well, that's okay because Devon Chain was apparently behind even Myles Gaskin in the first preseason game and was playing gunner on the on kick return.
That shows you how valuable he is. They don't want to give him too many carries and wear him down.
See, this is the thing. I kind of need running backs that can actually score points for me. All right. This guy can at least score me some points for the first 3 weeks, and then I could try to figure it out after that.
All right. This not the voice of reason, but very reasonable comment. I feel like I should put that. Are you familiar with NAB?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Are you my mom? Are you my mom? It sounds like something my mom would say.
Is that how she would say it? Did she say y'all?
She wouldn't say y'all.
Okay. Look, I live right now in Texas, and y'all is just like normal. That's like, that's just how you speak. But okay. Let's get back to the hero RB theme. Double hero RB. We've got to come up with a better name than double hero RB. Like, I don't know.
Well, this is you just won your league RB. Like, yeah, I think if I could start Bijan Pollard, I'm going Bijan Pollard, definitely. And then I probably would not take a running back until very late. I would just hammer, get an elite QB, get a bunch of as many good wide receivers as I could, a decent tight end, and then just grab a bunch of guys late. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not Mr. Zero RB anymore. You actually do draft running backs, even early sometimes. If you're going double RB, this would be your dream start.
Yes, dream start. Absolutely.
I mean, Bijan is also my number 1 running back. Pollard, yeah, that would be it. After that, you just don't draft any other running back until the very end of the draft and just for the bye weeks.
Yeah, this literally might be a team where I don't draft another running back. I'm like, you know what? I'll pick when the bye weeks come. I'll just grab some RB2 off of waivers who's a starter that week.
All right, here's a question, and it's a fair one. IDP leagues. None of our leagues use IDP. I'm in an IDP dynasty league. I don't know if I
Is it
did
still
any other IDP leagues.
that Rotoballer one?
It's the same one, and it's funny
Wow.
because it's called it's the Rotor Baller League, but I think only maybe 2 of the 12 guys are actually still there, like working with them. But it's a good league. It's competitive. In fact, we're actually drafting our rookie draft right now.
Nice. Did they change? I mean, getting off top because I was in that league too. That's pretty much the
Yeah, you
only
were in
league I've
that
ever
league.
done that's been IDP. But the IDP scoring was really bad that year I did it. I remember I had who was the good Melvin Ingram from the Chargers, the linebacker, and then I had Buda Baker his rookie year, and they'd give me like 7 points, and that would be like incredible. I'd be like, oh, I got 7 points. Oh my god, it's incredible. Have they changed? Have they fixed that?
Nah, scoring's the same.
So defense, it hardly matters.
Yeah, it really doesn't make a big difference, and I don't think anybody's like dying to change it because you don't want the IDP to be too heavily weighted. But yeah, it doesn't do much. Like I haven't even considered drafting a rookie. I might take Jalen Carter if he's still there, my next pick. But I have Joey Bosa, who if he actually is healthy, I'm just like I'll just leave him in there.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who I have at linebacker. Like mix and match. So I don't pay too much attention to it because it's like you said, it's not well. But the point is here: do we play with IDP? Not too much. I like IDP, but yeah, that's just a lot more niche. And like you've got to really know what you're doing to make it worth playing because you can just pick up random linebacker, random corner. You can stream them. If you're into it, again, it's super fun and it makes it even more, more competitive, more interesting. But if you don't know what you're doing, then it's kind of no point.
Yeah. I would certainly prefer IDP over starting defense, though.
Well, that's true. Like you're anti-defense. I mean, better than a team defense scoring you 20 points, then at least have a player that you can say, okay, this guy makes a lot of tackles. I can count on
Yeah.
him, because I know that player and you drafted that player, not just a team defense who happened to play, I was going to say the Jets, but maybe not this year. I happened to play
Cardinals against Clayton Tune, and they took 2 pick sixes, 2 pick sixes to the house and got 30 points, and I lost because of that.
Yeah. I do like if you're playing in a league that has kickers. First of all, please don't. Yeah. But if you are, the whole concept of team, I wonder if it'll catch on. Team kicker, right? You don't draft a kicker, you draft that team's kicker. So because we have so many kickers who get cut midseason, get injured. It's like I'll just take, Miami's kicker, whoever it is.
But I mean, does that really make a difference? Like you just go out and pick. I've seen that like team kicker thing. Like it just feels like putting a Band-Aid on a terrible situation. Like just go pick up another.
Some of the aggravation.
Just go pick up another kicker. Who cares?
Yeah, well,
like okay, let's say you take Ravens kicker because you want Justin Tucker, who I actually know who he is, and then he gets hurt. You're not getting it's fine because I took Ravens kicker, so I'm fine. No, you're not getting Justin Tucker. Whoever they bring in to be his replacement is not Justin Tucker. You're not getting Justin Tucker. You're getting crappy kicker that they found on the street.
But that's what you're
I'd
committed to.
rather just pick up a kicker.
That's what you committed to.
No, not me.
Not you personally.
It's bad enough to be the kicker league, but now I got to have a team kicker. I got to pick the whole team. Like, no. Terrible idea.
You remember we did a couple of years ago, not even XFL, it was AAF fantasy.
Yes.
And it was team quarterback because every team had like 2 different quarterbacks and they would rotate in and out. So it was team quarterback. Yeah, that was fun.
You pretty much had to in that league though, because like you said, like quarterbacks would get benched.
Dude.
They would get benched in like the second quarter or whatever, and they'd put the other quarterback in. And like a good I remember who's that running back that had like incredible rookie year and then was a bust? Trent Richardson. He was awful, but he kept scoring like 2 touchdowns every game, and he was like dominating. He'd have like 25 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns every week.
Yep. That's when you know you're diehard or
or a complete degenerate.
But we didn't even play for money. I don't think we did. It was just for the love
No,
of the game.
come on. You had to be a real degenerate to play AAF for money. You had to be like a real degenerate for that. All right. Are there any wide receivers I like here?
Okay. I got to put this one up after you make your pick.
Seeing if there's any. Yeah. Probably need.
All right. So hot take time. Jason, the highest scoring Seattle wide receiver this year. We had some DK Metcalf talk early on. Mike, the Seahawks fan, who's been taking more Lockett than D. Look, he did it again, didn't he? He did take Lockett, didn't he?
Yes.
Loves him some Lockett. He thinks Lockett's still the guy there in Seattle. Clayton's going with the rookie as the top Seattle receiver. Behind that?
I mean, I don't think it's like a crazy hot take. But it's going to be the only reason why I think it might be tough is because he's probably not going to have a major role early. So we'd have to have like a big second half of the season and just really outscore those guys. But he's a stud. He's awesome. So it wouldn't be like completely shocking to me if he did it.
Yeah. I don't think it's unreasonable just because Lockett's a year older. DK, I think, is still the guy there, but yeah, I don't think that's crazy. What is up, Young Money in the house? It's been a while. I don't think.
What's up? It has been a while. He used to mock draft with us almost every day.
I know.
Now he just comes over here
Calvin
to complain about Calvin Ridley.
I swear, maybe I'm wrong. Money, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I traded him, Calvin Ridley, in a dynasty league, and it was right before he got suspended. So I traded away Ridley, and then he was out for the year. So he wasn't too pleased about that. I don't remember who I even got, but I'm pretty sure I had Ridley and traded him before all that went down.
Yeah, his ADP is going wild. I'll never forget, like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago in the end game. At that time, we called it the Endgame Private League. I had this insane team. My team, I was 5-0, and I was just destroying everybody. And I remember Nate will remember this. He put a thing in the chat about like if every team played each other every week, what our records would be, and I would have like 5 losses. Like through 5 weeks of the season, like my team was insane, and I made a trade with you. This was the year where Calvin Ridley was like, "Oh, I need to like." Remember, he was like, it was the year before, like it was the year where he had his mental breakdown or whatever. Who knows what it was? And he hadn't played in a couple weeks, and I had this stacked team, but it was a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, so you needed depth. And I had like Adam Thielen was like my second flex, but this was back when Adam Thielen was still good. This was before, like it wasn't last year when he was terrible.
Yeah, years ago.
And I traded you Adam Thielen and a running back for Calvin Ridley. And I was like, that is it. I just won the league. Now I have Calvin Ridley as my last flex. No one is going to touch this team. And then Calvin Ridley never played another game the rest of the season. And I did not win the league that year, unfortunately. So apparently you had like some kind of psychic Calvin Ridley thing. You were like, let me just get rid of Calvin Ridley everywhere. I know this is going to end badly.
Insider information.
No. Something. You had something.
I don't know. I take no credit for that. That was just dumb luck. Oh, I was just eyeballing Deuce Vaughn.
Oh, man. Deuce Vaughn.
I know you don't like the short guys. I don't know what it is. You got the bias against the short running backs. Come on. One of them could be the next Tariq Cohen.
Not that he's short. Because, look, Barry Sanders, my favorite running back of all time, was only like 5'8". But he was also like 210 pounds. Deuce Vaughn is 178. I got a bias against little short running backs who dominate week 1 preseason, and everybody's going to start drafting them. And then he's going to be, this year's Marquez Callaway or this year's Romeo Dobbs, or just insert this year's preseason hype beast who is on waiver wire by like week 3.
Yeah, my other thing is that he'll be used in very specific ways. Like, he's not going to get that many touches, but he can do something when he has the ball in his hands. And I mean, why not see him as the RB2 there in Dallas? Because who else is it? Malik Davis, not Ronald Jones. All right, go running back. And then we're about to wrap the draft up. Good question here from Francis, not yours. We like Jahmyr Gibbs over Ramondre in a keeper league. Didn't say dynasty, I think keeper.
I think so, because you got a 21-year-old running back with incredible pass catching upside. I do, I'm still a little nervous for Ramondre beyond this year, because obviously this year they were trying to bring in another running back. This is the last year of his deal. So, right? Isn't this the last year? I'm pretty sure it's the last year of his deal. I could be wrong. Maybe next year is. But I don't feel like Ramondre's role is completely safe beyond this year or any year, to be honest, because it's Bill Belichick and the Patriots. So I'd rather just have Gibbs. He's younger, and I think he long-term has more upside. Like, I think you have a better chance that you'd want to keep Gibbs next year than Ramondre.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an easy take. Oh, take the younger guy. Running back, that's generally good advice. But also Ramondre after this season, who knows? Because
who knows?
They're also obviously going to run him into the ground. And then Patriots, they don't stick with running backs too long. So yeah, I'm going Gibbs also. All right, so let us. You're getting a threat here. Mason said he's going to send your team to the counselor just to trigger him.
Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. All right, but let's get to before his team. We have several more. Let's break it down. This is the best part for everybody. So let's start with team 1. That's Mike. Before he took Tyler Lockett, he started with Tyreek Hill at the 1.1. That's right. Y'all are seeing it correctly. No going easy. You're a long time Endgame member. No, just kidding. So Ty Hill at the 1-1. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Lockett, Mike Williams, Pitts, Gabe Davis, Charbonnet, Tua, Jacoby Myers, Kamara, Spears, and Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we talked about Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's not crazy early, right? Generally goes 3rd or 4th, so it's not like, it's not like you took Calvin Ridley at the 101 or something crazy. So that's fine. You got Henry, Jacobs. I mean, that's a good double RB, double anchor, whatever you want to call it. That's good. Lockett is your wide receiver too. I like it. Mike Williams is one of your flexes. I think is good. I like Pitts as your tight end. And this is where it kind of gets like Gabe, Charbonnet, Myers, because these guys have to be your second flex, right? Remember, it's 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. So, Gabe, Charbonnet, Myers is going to be your second flex. I probably would have liked to have seen somebody else over Gabe. I know you took Lockett, so maybe you didn't want to take JSN, but I don't know. Gamble on Elijah Moore, Brandon Cooks, somebody like that. Or maybe it's a Pitts pick. Maybe the Pitts pick is a little too early, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I don't feel very good about your second flex. So, but other than that, I mean, I think Kamara there is probably okay. I don't really mind. I'm not completely against the Hill pick. It's just something, I would have liked to seen a better second flex.
Yeah, that's the same. I mean, okay. I get the Lockett love, nothing against that. But I can't take him before guys like Kirk or, even DeAndre Hopkins. Some of these other receivers, I just don't know if I want Lockett as my wide receiver 2, 3. If Mike Williams is considered your 2, whatever. You could have gone with a different player. Look, you could have, instead of Gabe Davis, which is the pick I think is really the pick I have an issue with, you could have got JSN. Guy, I mean, no guarantee he outscores Tyler Lockett, but look where you get him, full 2 rounds later. So I think that's exactly it. You could have taken like a Christian Kirk there instead of Lockett, JSN instead of Gabe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just those things. You don't want the fandom to get in the way of the fantasy. But you already got your all Seahawks team in that one free league, so you just let that team ride. You get your Seahawks, and you're good.
Yeah.
All right. Team 2, Andrea. Jefferson at the 2. Pretty good. T. Higgins, Ramondre, Miles Sanders, Christian Kirk, Zay Flowers, Trevor Lawrence, Sky Moore, Gibby, Fryermuth, Algier Mims, and Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, I mean, not much to not like about this team. You got Jefferson to the 2. Higgins there is fine. Stevenson, I think, is good there. Obviously, it's obvious we've been talking up Miles Sanders. Now he's a 4th-round pick. But as your RB2, that's solid. You got Kirk and Flowers as your flexes. So this is what I'm talking about. You got, 2 good high upside wide receivers in your flex, and you still got Trevor Lawrence. And then I like the shots you took on your bench. I like Freiermuth late. This is a very good team.
Solid as usual. I really like the Kirk and Flowers combo as your flex. It's a little early for Sanders. Surprising to see him go before guys like Etienne and some of those other running backs, but I don't hate it either. I'm pretty getting a little bit higher on Sanders. So yeah, very solid as usual. And by the way, just realizing this kind of bothers me. This whole season, I want to know now because it's going to bother me. Is it Andrea, or Andrea?
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Yes.
I want to know so I get it right because
Yes.
90% of people who ever said my name say it wrong or spell it wrong at some point. So I want to make sure I get it right. All right. I know how to say Clayton. Clayton, no surprise, took Brandon Ayuk in the 4th round as predicted. But he also took Jamar Chase and Amari Cooper, got JT in round 2, Swift in round 6, Fields as the quarterback, JSN, Monty, Njoku, Nico Collins, Mingo, Ty Chandler, I like that pick, and Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, so another good team. You got Chase and Cooper at wide receiver. That's great. Obviously, you got Ayuk because every draft. And then, JT, I'm assuming he's going to play. Swift, very high upside RB2. And then your second flex is here, JSN, Monty, maybe Nico, somebody like that. So you're good there. You got Njoku at tight end. You got Fields. Definitely a strong contender.
Very solid as always. I like the shot on Swift there at the 6'10". That's good value. Monty is a pretty solid backup option if Swift doesn't come through. Your receivers are good. Fields in round 5. Njoku, love that pick. Really good team all around.
Yep.
All right. Then we got Joe. What is up, Joe? CMC at the 4. There's Calvin Ridley there. Fell to the 2.8. Fell. I can say that now. DJ Moore, Jordan Addison, Jahan Dotson. And this is a receiving core that you would love for sure.
Yeah.
James Conner, Brian Robinson, Deshaun Watson, Dobbs, Odell Beckham, Zamir White, Dulcich, and Ford.
Yeah, so, I mean, I like these wide receivers a lot. It just, I guess this is where Ridley's going now. I can't really complain too much about DJ Moore there because, again, when you look at guys like Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, maybe Christian Watson over him, maybe Drake London over him, but that's probably about it. So I can't really complain about DJ Moore there. I love Addison and I love Dotson, but this feels very early for those guys. So it's not that I don't like the picks. It just feels, but I do like that you got Connor and Brian Robinson. I think Connor's a great value this year. I haven't talked about him that much, but he's going to be a workhorse. I like Brian Robinson. So, you got CMC, Connor, you got Ridley, DJ Moore. That's I can't really complain about that. And then your flexes are 2 of Addison, Dotson, and Brian Robinson. I mean, so when you look at it just as a team, it's it looks like a pretty good team. It just feels like a lot of early picks, but the team itself is good, and you got Deshaun. So good team, just probably a little early on some picks.
Yeah, one thing I will say, Joe gets his guys. I mean, he has some of the same players he will take over and over, and Addison is definitely one of his guys. Dotson, obviously, his guy here. It's funny because we say that's too early, too late, but you know what? 2-3 weeks into the season, you look back and you laugh I can't believe this guy went in this place, and how did we miss this and this guy? It all becomes irrelevant. So I like the conviction. He's like, look, I want Jordan Addison. I'm going to take him earlier than everybody else if I have to. At least he knows he's got his guys. So I don't think there's a player on there that I don't like that you took. So the only thing that's a problem is like, well, if you could have taken another player like Ayuk or Williams or whoever, and then still got Jordan Addison a round later, that's even better. But
Yeah.
anyways, I like all your picks here. All right, Nate. Let's see what Nate did today. He went with Cooper Kupp, Nick Chubb, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Etienne Mixon, James Cook. Still got a slew of running backs. Darren Waller, Jameson Williams, Lazard. Went with Richardson and QB, Rashee Rice, and Jalen Hyatt.
This is like two different teams. Like the first team is like crusty vets, and then the second team is like rookies, or basically rookies with Jameson Williams. But I mean, you got Kupp and Keenan. That's good as your wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Chubb, Etienne at that spot is, I mean, whatever you think of Etienne, that's great value. So that's good. So your flexes are going to be some combination of McLaurin, Mixon, and Cook. Probably going to be McLaurin and Cook, to be honest, which I don't mind. All right, Waller, fine, whatever. I'll buy the hype on him, I guess. Richardson's good there. So it was an interesting draft, but when you look at it, like look at the team, I actually think it's a solid team that can definitely contend.
Yeah, I think you can contend. Like there's several players here who aren't going to be on my team necessarily. I'm not drafting Mixon or Lazard or Waller. There's certain guys I wouldn't take, but I still feel like you got good value on them. Etienne in the 5th looks really good. So yeah, I think it's pretty good overall. Let's see. We're up to team 6, which is Brian. He's ready for the heat. Let's see if we bring it. Oh, come on. You went Bijan in the first round. You know that's an automatic dub. Barkley, and then DK, Burrow, Godwin, Hawkinson. Hawkinson round 6. Here we go. Mike Evans, Rashad Bateman, Khalil Herbert. We have a believer, Michael Thomas. I don't know how it snuck by us. In the 10th round, Michael Thomas, Rondale Moore, Rashid Shaheed, and Deuce.
This is one of those teams where, like, if you show me the first 2 picks and I'm like, oh man, this team just smashed this draft, right? They just like, how do you get Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley? Like, incredible. And then you go Metcalf, Godwin, Evans, and Bateman, and it's like, oh, okay. Like, it's not like I'm completely. I mean, I'm pretty out on Evans. DK is okay. Godwin's okay. Bateman is fine, like later on as a flyer, but man, you like imagine this team with take your pick between, let's keep DK. Let's keep DK and Burrow, but now take your pick between whoever you like, Hollywood, Pittman, Deontay, Pickens, and then instead of Hawkinson, you got, again, take your pick of those guys. I mean, this team you would have like DK, 2 of those wide receivers, and those 2 running backs, and Burrow. Like, man, that team would just be an absolute monster. And of course, now that I say that, watch DK Metcalf, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans and Rashad Bateman are going to be like incredible this year. But you know what I mean? Like, man, you had that incredible start, and then it just kind of like you went from this incredible running back start to this just very like safe middle area there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like I mean, if you look at it on paper, out of the 4 major position groups, 3 of them you have some of the best players, right? Elite, like top 5 caliber players, right? You got an elite quarterback, one of the top tight ends, stud running backs. Then there's wide receiver. Like it's like then which is sort of the biggest one. So DK, I wouldn't take in the 3rd round. Okay, Godwin is okay in the 5th round, but Godwin and Evans, like,
yeah.
You do know that Tom Brady retired. I just want to point that out. So that's the problem here. Yeah, the wide receivers is iffy, and then sorry, it doesn't matter where or when you take him. If you draft Michael Thomas at any point, you're a believer. That's
the rule. That is the rule.
All right, let's go on Ronnie. Took Stephon Diggs and then Tony Pollard, Josh Allen to stack, J.K. Dobbins, Hopkins, who looks a little more interesting now with the Burks injury. And then Breece Hall. It's round 6. That might still be too early. Quentin Johnston, Cortland Sutton, Juju. That's early for Juju. Tank,
Yeah.
Rashawn Johnson, and Cole Kmet.
Yeah. So, I mean, Diggs, Pollard, that's fantastic. Josh Allen, I'm still on board. Josh Allen isn't my QB1. I'm not taking him over Hurts and Mahomes, but I still think he'll be good. I love Dobbins. Again, Hopkins there I think is okay, but I'd rather gamble on some more upside at my wide receiver 2 spot. And now this is where, like, to me, the issue really comes because Breece Hall, I mean, we know Breece Hall at a minimum is going to do very little early in the year. I mean, they've already talked about him bringing him back very slowly. So your flexes to start the season are going to be 2 of Quentin Johnston, who's probably also going to do very little early in the year. Cortland Sutton, who I like, but I really don't want to be like have him as my number 1 flex every week. Juju, who I don't think is going to do anything all year. And then guys like Tank, and Rashawn, who probably aren't going to do much early. Like, so this team's really going to be hurting at both flex spots, honestly, for quite a while of the season. And even when Breece Hall, if he separates from Dalvin Cook and gets healthy enough, you're still going to, your second flex is still going to be an issue. So I just think in this format, even though you see Breece Hall there and you might think like, oh, 6'6", Breece Hall, I would have preferred a wide receiver like Flowers or even any of the running backs that went after Breece Hall, to be honest with you, just could give you more in the flex position.
Yeah, like I see this draft, I've chopped it into thirds. The first 5 rounds, very solid, right? Really good. The picks 6 through 9, the middle portion, like that ain't it. And it ain't it for me at least. And then the last 4 picks, I think are good. I'm pretty good. I like the upside here in the tanks, and then Rashawn Johnson. Kmet's fine. So it's just the middle rounds, but
Yeah.
I think you still got a good base here. It's just the flex is going to be very iffy. That's the thing. All right, the other John, 65, went with CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Smith. I feel like that's great value there. And then Jalen Hurts to pair with Devontae, Kenneth Walker, Jerry Jeudy, Aaron Jones, Goddard, Dalvin Cook, Kadarius Toney, Damian Harris, Jaden Reed, Kendrick Miller, and KJ Osborne.
So Lamb Smith, that's a great start. You got Hurts there. That's Hurts at the 3.8. That's pretty much the lowest we ever see him go. So I like that. I'm okay with Kenneth Walker there. Jeudy as your first flex is okay. He went to be my first choice. I think there's other wide receivers I would prefer. Again, Aaron Jones as your second flex is fine. I guess he's your RB2. Which I think is fine. You got Goddard for the full. I mean, man, you got the Smith, Hurts, Goddard stack. But now, again, like I keep talking about, remember, this is a 2 flex league. So now your second flex is here. Dalvin Cook, Kadarius Toney, Damian Harris, which, maybe it'll be okay, but could be really bad. So I don't know.
I'd say it's if this was a dynasty team, it would look a little better on paper because you got the youth at the end, right?
Yeah, it's okay. It's just, I know these 2 we don't do a lot of 2 flex leagues, so maybe it's a little tricky for people, but like you really got to put a premium on those flex positions because you got to start 2 of them. So, if Cook will probably have a sizable role early, so as your second flex, he's probably not bad, but you're going to need some of these guys, some of these later picks to kind of break out as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's. I would rather have someone instead of Jeudy. That's the thing. It would make me feel better about those flex spots. But I do like a lot of the picks. I think overall it's a pretty solid team. The way you started first 4 picks, and I do like the middle portion of your draft. I think that was pretty good. All right, JCR Melts took over the 9 spot here. So went with Kelsey, Devontae Adams, Pat Mahomes, Jahmyr Gibbs at the 4-4, Hollywood, then Rashad White, AJ Dillon, Javonte Williams, Mooney, Thielen, Mechie, Zeke, the Pat, and Alec Pierce.
Thielen and Zeke on the same team. That is like, man, you're going to get allergies from all that dust. But, I mean, you got Kelsey. That's fantastic, of course. Adams and Hollywood are your wide receivers. I like that. I know a lot of people probably won't want Hollywood as their wide receiver too, but I'm okay with it. Gibbs and White as your RBs. That's solid. You got Mahomes. You got the Mahomes-Kelsey stack. That's very nice. And then, of course, again, it's going to be the flexes here. So, Dillon, Javonte, Mooney, Dusty Thielen. You're going to need to flex 2 of those guys. Maybe Dillon and Mooney early in the year. But again, I think those 2 flex spots, this is another team where those flex spots are going to be an issue.
Yeah, I don't. There aren't many individual picks here that I don't like necessarily, but like on the whole, I feel like the whole here is kind of just less than the sum of its parts, or I don't know. It's just I'm missing some upside. I feel like you're
Yeah.
depending a lot on the Kelsey Mahomes stack, which makes this a really good team, but
Yes.
you really need Gibbs to be a breakout, like to be that RB1 for you for this team to succeed. And Rashad White, I'm fine with. But yeah, I think it's just lacking enough upside for me to get excited about it.
Yeah.
And then you did go, just as I said, right after I said it, I'm not calling you Mr. Zero RB anymore. Here you go. Prove me wrong. You went with the Sun God, Waddle, Christian Watson, and Debo. Not bad. And then another one just to make sure you got George Pickens, George Kittle, and Justin Herbert at quarterback. And then all running back, Pacheco, Penny, Jamal Williams, Eli Mitchell, Mostert, and Warren. Obviously, your receivers are going to dominate. You got a stud quarterback. You got one of the better tight ends. As far as zero RB builds, I know this is how it goes. These aren't my favorite zero RB RBs, but I don't know. You feel like this is going to work?
I mean, it could work. It's certain. I mean, obviously, like, yeah, it's pretty easy to nitpick this draft. It's the running backs; they're really bad. I was really happy. I was really shocked that Kittle was still there. I wasn't planning on going. I was planning on going RB there, but man, Kittle at the 7-10. I was like, nah, I'm taking him here. Yeah, I mean, certainly these running backs don't excite you or me, but I mean, who was I really going to take? Like, I'm not going to take Javonte. I'm not going to take Dalvin Cook. I thought about Montgomery over Pacheco. That was like the one decision I had, but yeah, I just if you're going to wait till round 8 to take your first running back, you can't be like over here, crying about your running backs. You got to take your medicine and work the waiver wire, and hope you get lucky.
Yeah, you don't need them all to be studs. You just need, one to hit, or at least 2 to be consistent, or just do something good on the waiver wire. I think what a lot of people would ask and be surprised is Pacheco over Dalvin Cook. Now he's with the Jets, or over Javonte. And now obviously that's where you're leaning. I'm not drafting Javonte. Cook, I don't know. I think I still have Cook over Pacheco just because I'm not super hyped on Pacheco, but look, this is the kind of team you have if you're drafting and you took some good chances. So, yeah, I think it's good. But look, I mean, you have such good running back. I mean, wide receiver and flex. You don't really need running backs, I don't think, in this team. All right.
Wow.
I mean, you need something. But. All right. I went pretty young early. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Drake London with Mark Andrews as my tight ends. That's something I don't usually do. Then I got Pearson Akers, Elijah Moore, Madison, Dak, Ashane. That's right. Chark, Van Jefferson, and Chase Brown.
Yeah, so love that start with Garrett Wilson, Olave. I like Andrews there. I actually thought about Andrews over Watson. London is your first flex, is good. Pearson Akers is your RB, should be solid. And then your second flex is like Elijah Moore, Madison. Should be okay. Obviously, hopefully Elijah Moore breaks out, but Madison should at least be fine as a second flex. You got Dak there. That's good value. You sniped me on a chain. Took some shots at wide receiver, running back there at the end. I think it's a solid team. It's a contender. It's a solid team.
Yeah, it's not a wow. I don't think you look at the team like, oh, man, that team's going to dominate. I mean, I'm basically depending on Garrett Wilson and Olave having breakout seasons. If they do, if they both those guys are top 12, well, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. So, yeah, it's not my very favorite overall team, but I don't feel like I have any holes, and I was happy to get Dak where I got him, so I'm happy with it. All right, and then paper went with Eckler, AJ Brown, Najee, Lamar Jackson, Pittman, Deontay Burks, and Cooks, Ingram, Pirine, Aaron Rodgers, and then Michael Gallup and Kareem Hunt with the last.
Kareem Hunt, wow. I'll say this first of all. This is so if you're gonna go, Eckler, Najee early with AJ Brown and then Lamar, you better start loading up on wide receivers, and he did. So he's got AJ Brown, of course, that's great. Eckler and Najee. I mean, Eckler's your RB1, Najee's your RB2 is fine. Lamar's your QB is fantastic. Ingram late as your tight end is fantastic. And you basically just need 3 of these guys between Pittman, Johnson, Burks, and Cooks to be good. So I think you should be able to get 3 of them to at least be good enough. Don't really understand the Aaron Rodgers pick. That's probably the one pick I don't get because you already have Lamar.
I think that was
Lamar
an
gets
auto.
hurt.
I think he let that one go.
Oh, he that was an auto. Okay, and I don't get the Kareem Hunt pick either because I mean the guy's visited like 5 teams and no one's been willing to sign him yet. So, but I think this is a good team. I mean Eckler, Najee is good. AJ Brown, and then 3 of those wide receivers should be fine. Lamar and Ingram, good team.
Yeah, very solid team. No holes really. I like all your receivers there. Running back depth might be the only issue, especially if Kareem Hunt doesn't have a team. You basically got one guy, and that's Pierre, who I like, but you're not going to want to start him every week. So if you have an injury, you might be hurting. So you're depending a lot on your 2 running backs. I guess your double hero RB, if you want to call them that. I don't know if Najee qualifies. Gonna have to look at the rule book on that. But I do like your team overall. I think you pulled off a pretty solid squad. All right, we pulled off another solid mock draft. We're gonna be doing the real thing real soon. Don't forget our endgame redraft leagues. We're gonna be live streaming those pretty soon. If you want in on the last couple of spots, we have some open, but not for long. flockfantasy.com/endgame. Also, the last couple of mock drafts we're doing because time is ticking. All right, guys, check us out again. We'll be here with another mock draft for you. So be ready tomorrow.